Hi guys, my name is Kudo. I'm the host of the PlayStation Point. Today with me is Tyler, and we're going to talk about a few game releases before we head on to our VR discussion. Because we did talk a little bit about VR on the Basic podcast and recorded yesterday, which should be going up today-ish, hopefully. But it's Armando handling it, so we'll see how that happens. But we're going to talk about PlayStation VR after what we normally discuss. We also have some sales to talk about as well. And then hopefully we can get Armando on the podcast next week to talk about PlayStation VR, because he'll actually have ordered it and bought it, and it will hopefully arrive on the 13th.
Yep.
Alright then, so if you guys hadn't heard already, Gravity Rush 2 has been delayed to January 2017. Once again, 2016, the year of game delays. As a result, you do get a story DLC for it as an apology, but I don't really think that's the greatest thing to hold you over. If a game got delayed, you'd be waiting like months for it.
Yeah, that's true. I'd say it's funny. Because there's a lot of people who expect a lot of games and they get delayed pretty quickly.
I mean, delays are a common thing now, but I kind of why can't you just overshoot it and then put the release date back? I would rather have that.
The sad thing is that we live in an age where the known release date of a game is commonplace, because it's everywhere. Once a release date is announced, 100 websites release an article saying what the release date is. But I remember back in the 90s or early 2000s, when release dates weren't really well known. You'd read about a release date in a magazine and be like, oh yeah, cool. But we live in an age where you can immediately get information like this. So I feel like it puts a lot of pressure on developers to meet a release date or a quota.
I mean, it gets the developers more in tune with the community, to be honest. So I mean,
it's a double-edged sword, I guess.
Yeah, the internet really is. So
there's a lot more edge to one side of that sword than the other side.
Well, I mean, there's certain things we definitely gave up. If you saw Rooster Teeth's documentary about, Barbara and Blaine losing their phones for a week, or it was a week or 10 days, basically, and they had to live like they were back in the 1980s. I mean, there were things that we did give up because of our technological advances in the past, 20, 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad we gave up some of those things.
Not having to type in command prompt is pretty great.
I mean, having dictation's really great.
Yeah.
But, I do notice there's a lot of people who are sucked into their screens, and that's why I don't... If I'm going to go get breakfast on the weekends at, one of the residential dining halls, I purposely just don't bring my phone. And I just enjoy breakfast.
It's kind of hard not to be enamored by screens when 90% of your... not 90%, 90 degrees of your workspace is monitored.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get Gunnars, to be honest, because I actually should get new glasses. I haven't changed these in, 4 years, and that was back in high school.
These are replacements for my old glasses, so...
Well, the problem when I was looking into Gunnars is that, you get those amber yellow lenses, but you can't put transitions in them. So, you can do transition with these because they're crystalline lenses. So, I don't know how I'm going to tell my parents that I want 2 pairs of glasses. One for when I work on the screens, that one when I go outside, essentially. But in some cases, why don't I just get prescription sunglasses?
Yeah, that's kind of a matter of...
Well, the other thing is if you're working in True Color, in Photoshop, I actually need to be able to see the colors, because, those Gunnar lenses will change color. And so it's well, do I just get a pair of Gunnars, prescription Gunnars to do computer work like this, and then have my other pair for everything else?
Yeah. The thing about the only reason that gunnar lenses is so prominent with people is that it it lowers the color range of non-important colors. So that's why you usually see it in amber, is because your eyes are more adept to seeing oranges and browns than a lot of the other colors in an RGB scale.
To be honest, like the lighter your R's are, the more light sensitive you are, and I'm pretty light sensitive from what I can tell actually. Because I already have to wear sunglasses outside.
Hmm.
So it's like I might as well just buy them.
Yeah, I'll tell you straight up, both of my I have astigmatism. Uh,
I technically have strabismus in my right eye, which can be considered to be a astigmatism at times.
yeah, but the problem with my astigmatism is that one eye is always more dilated than the other. Like I have two different dilations.
The fuck?
Yeah,
How is that even possible?
it's it's moments like this, honestly. Like I'm looking at a monitor right now, but two brighter monitors are on my left side, so this one's more attuned to brighter lights, while this one will be on this side, which has less light.
I mean, to me that would freak me out because that's like creepy. Because I've seen my eyes dilated before, because I had to get them dilated from my ophthalmologist when I went, and
Hmm.
it's creepy.
Yeah. The only problem is that when my eyes dilate back into like equal form, I get headaches. So it's just a matter of having to deal with that. Um,
That's weird.
yeah, that's kind of a difficult thing though to deal with. It's just having different dilations. Um, it makes waking up at night really awkward because I wake up and my left eye is like my right eye is more accustomed to darkness, so it's like I can see better with it, but my left eye is like kind of half blind because it's meant for like bright lights. So it's kind of one of those issues. It's also why I have a laptop on my bed at all times, just so like I have some semblance of light that I can balance everything with.
Hmm.
My parents think I'm just watching YouTube nonstop, but in reality, it's like a safety precaution to make sure I don't like fall out of bed or anything.
I mean, have you actually talked to an ophthalmologist about that?
Um, they've noticed. That's why they prescribe me glasses that adjust for astigmatism.
Hmm.
But like, I don't know what the measurement is, but like my glasses are set for like -6 on the scale.
Oh, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I can only see like this far away from my face, like 3 or
That's
4
like worse
inches.
than mine, because like the worst I think my right eye is like -2.75.
Mm. It's like
And
5.5 and 6.25.
shit, your glasses are thicker than mine.
Oh
Because
yeah,
like I can like, it's depending on which eye it is, I can see farther away or I can't. So
yeah.
I'm like, I don't think my roommate realized that if I don't have my glasses on, I can't see for fucking shit. Like I walk into walls.
Well, yeah. Trying to look at this without my glasses on. It's like looking at like
It's all blurry.
yeah, like it's like trying to look at a mobile quality video on a 1080p screen. It's impossible to make any details.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to wear contact lenses, but I just couldn't be bothered to take them out most days.
To be honest, like
So
I'm so tired now, and I feel like my eyes are too dry that it's like why.
yeah,
Like
I
I know I need to put them in, but I'm in bad conditions, and I just like I can't get enough sleep, or like I'm never hydrated enough even with my eye drops, and it's like I just give up on contacts. Like
yeah,
maybe when I'm not in college I'll go back to contacts, but right now I just can't deal with contacts.
yeah. The one thing that annoys me the most about contacts is that my friends are like, "Oh, you look so much better with contacts," but
So do I, but they're like dailies are such a bitch to put in.
yeah,
It's the way they
dailies.
stick to your eyeballs. Like
The one thing that annoyed me the most about my contact lenses is that I would have to stop what I'm doing in the middle of doing something because my contacts were freaking out. I had to like take them out and like put them in saline for a little bit and put them back in. It's like that's a waste of time. I have shit to do.
Yeah,
So I don't wear contacts anymore. And my ex was like, "Oh yeah, I really like when you wear glasses." I'm like, "Yeah, I enjoy wearing glasses too." So,
oh my
you know,
god.
yeah.
No, 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 no. My boyfriend likes it when I have glasses on. Lol.
Mm,
That's so weird. But
yeah.
whatever. You should be moving on.
Glasses are attractive to people.
I guess.
I think I'm fucking ugly, but I still wear glasses.
I mean, these are a very nice pair, but I can't see some things, and I need
Well,
the
yeah,
glasses.
that's the difficulty of wearing glasses is that you don't have the full vision
Oh
range.
my god, the way my fucking hair is like, it always curls because it hits the metal frame, and then it's like, and it's like, why did
Yeah,
you do that?
that's what my hair does. I had to get the my bangs shortened because mine mine curl out so far that the tips actually touch my hair again. I'm like, oh god,
I
that's
have to
awful.
keep it short because sometimes I've had the hair come in and poke my eye and be like, ah. So that's what
Have you
happens.
ever put your hair into your frames?
I did that for a while because like it would literally just get in the way. I've had it caught in my frames too. Like I hate it. It's like
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
That's why I
By the
just
way,
wear my hair like
since
this.
we talked about hair, I shaved my neck beard. It's great.
Yay!
Yay! No longer trying to send hate on 4chan.
Do you mean a hipster?
Yeah, come at me, millennials.
You are a millennial.
Yeah. Oh,
Moving on. Hearthstone is
um,
coming out for the PS4 and PS Vita on November 1st.
Hearthstone?
Hearthstone.
Oh, I was really excited because Hearthstone would be perfect on a Vita.
No,
Eh,
they don't. Hearthstone does not give a shit about PS Vita.
that's true. But I mean, yeah, Hearthstone would be pretty good on a lot of portable devices, though.
I see people play it on their phones all the time.
Yeah, Hearthstone's just it's like a 5 minute game. You play it for 5 minutes and like, it's just a lot of fun.
Meh.
Like if you're
But
really into trading card games, it's worth a shot because like even if you don't know anything about Warcraft, it's just But anyways,
I've been trying to get into White Swords, but I've only played one game with my boyfriend, and that was when he was teaching me, and I still don't quite understand it, so I need to keep playing with him.
well, yeah, if you get Hearthstone, I can teach you a little bit. Not that difficult to learn, at least in comparison to like Gwent.
I have too much shit to do this week.
Yeah, like I said, it's like a 5 or 10 minute game. Like you play a game every so often when you have some free time and you just are bored. That's what I do.
Well, unfortunately, I just don't have time.
Right.
I'm really just too busy right now.
Yep.
But hopefully in January I won't be as busy and I can play Tales of Vesperia because guess what? It's coming out in America on January 24th, 2017, and it's the 27th for Europe. But the limited edition does not get the prequel novel, and that might just be because they don't want to translate into multiple languages and then special print the books to each region, like in the like I understand why they would do that.
Yeah. Um, Tales of Vesperia was originally Xbox 360 exclusive.
No, Vesperia, not Vesperia. There's a difference between the B and the V.
Oh, it sounded similar to
Oh
me.
my god, my Japanese teacher is like, she can't tell the difference between a B and a B sound. She's like, yeah, that's just really similar. I can't tell. And I'm like, Sensei, no!
What the fuck? Really? So there's a Tales of Vesperia and a Tales of Besperia now.
Yes.
What the fuck? It's like they were coming up with a title and they just decided, oh yeah, Just move it one keystroke over. Like, look at your keyboard right now. It's literally one key apart from fucking V. Like, are you kidding me?
Yes, they're that creative.
I can't wait for Tales of Zestiria, spelled with an X
Uh,
instead of a Z. Or Tales of the Abyss. Or... This joke's dead. Fuck it.
Well, here's the difference. One main character is male, has long hair. The other one is actually female, and she will kill you.
Right. Just like Tales of Xillia, spelled with a Z. Seriously, I'm not letting this go. This is fucking stupid. Like,
go play the Namco Bandai. Like,
as much as I hate ragging on naming conventions, because I've heard some really fucking stupid naming conventions, this is among the dumbest. Like, that is incredibly easy to mistake. Like, I was just like, oh yeah, Tales of Vesperia is coming out on PS4, huh? And then you said Tales of Vesperia. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Like, really? It's like if you announced that there's a Xbox One exclusive Tales of game called Tales of Xillia, except it's Zillia. Like,
no, Vesperia was special in that, like, it was the only one to go on Xbox, and no one ever went back to Xbox again.
Yeah.
They have pledged their allegiance to Sony.
Yeah. I'll give it credit, though. Lost Odyssey was fucking awesome on Xbox.
I don't play Xbox, so I really wouldn't know.
Yeah. Lost Odyssey is, like, the end of an era for 3-disc RPGs.
Yeah.
It was also one of the few games that had action commands, too. So, overall, it was a good time. But yeah, Tales of Vesperia.
Well, I mean, at least NIS America is now bringing over 2 more Toho games.
Yay.
Toho Genso Wanderer, and then Toho Double Focus? Yeah, that's what it is. Kind of weird. I've never played the Toho games, I've just watched people play them and cry. Bullet hell.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're doing that, because they're awesome.
Speaking of NIS America, isn't the next Criminal Girls game launching today?
I know it was delayed in America, but I didn't know what day it was coming out, because I didn't pre-order it. Like, people liked it, but...
I love how every time I read the comments, it's just like, I'm not buying censored bullshit. Bring it uncensored into the PS4 because I'm also not buying it on the Vita because I don't have it anymore. Like, fuck you! Shut up if you don't have the goddamn console to play the fucking game on. You don't care. You don't matter. You're not a statistic. You aren't going to be playing the fucking game, clearly. If you don't have the goddamn console, it's not like you're going to be like, oh god, I played this on my friend's console and I'm really annoyed by the censorship. It's like, fuck you.
They had to censor it because, like, they wanted to bring the game over. Like, they've tried to explain this, and there's still people who are like, I don't believe in censorship. And it's like, they have to bring it over. Like, they would rather have the game brought over than not at all. And people just don't understand that.
I firmly believe in censorship because if getting a game over to the West means adding some clothes or removing some sexual scenes from a game because of difference in culture, then fucking do it. It's like, if you don't believe in censorship, then you also must be like an advocate of child porn, because that's basically what it is to a lot of people.
To a lot of Americans, Criminal Girls is technically child porn.
Yes, that's exactly why they had to censor it, is because the age of consent here and the age of consent in Japan is so vastly different.
But also how they consider, like, sexual activity is very different, because Americans are very much, like, have these Puritan beliefs.
Yeah.
And I hate them, but, you know, that's just because, like, America was founded by Puritans, and I mean the United States of America, not, like, America before then.
Uh-huh.
basically because these Puritans were so Christian. We still have these values today, and unfortunately, it's very weird when you look at it now because it's not really helpful. It actually causes a lot of problems in terms of how we deal with other issues. Whereas in Japan, it's like it's not the same culture. They have different beliefs,
Right.
but they also have their own problems with
Right.
having beliefs. But you can't just have people bring this sort of these cultural norms in to another country and be okay with it unless you are willing to be like accepting of other people's failures, which America apparently is not.
Hmm.
America's really stupid about learning about other cultures, if you hadn't noticed. So I don't know what people were expecting.
Yeah. So my message to people like that is shut the fuck up if you haven't played the game, shut the fuck up if you're not going to buy the game, and shut the fuck up if you don't even have the goddamn console to play it.
Or learn Japanese.
Yeah, learn Japanese so you can import a fucking copy, because guess what? The Vita is backwards compatible, not backwards compatible, region free,
Yes.
and also, like, it's the same bullshit where I think people feel privileged, like their opinion has higher merit than others, because that's also something that pissed me off when Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival came out, is people immediately flagged it as a shitty game because it wasn't the Animal Crossing they wanted, and they wanted a legit Animal Crossing on consoles. And it's like, well, fuck you. If you've paid attention, Animal Crossing on portables sells so much better than the console versions. And I don't care if you want like a extremely high resolution, high graphics fidelity, beautiful Animal Crossing game on consoles. It's not going to happen because Japan is a country based very heavily upon business, and they're going to do what sells.
I mean, like that's pretty much any sort of business, really.
Hmm.
But like, if anything, if they're gonna do a new Animal Crossing game, it will be on the NX. But
Well, yeah, it's
it's
going to be
it's
on the
just that
NX because it's
City
supposed to
Folk
be a
was
hybrid.
such a failure
Yeah,
that they developers for Animal Crossing made it a point to make New Leaf as wonderful as possible, and like they knocked it out of the park. New Leaf is like the best Animal Crossing game so far. It's still selling pretty well. And I think because of the update with all the amiibo support and everything and the amiibo cards, I think people will now like actually start their towns again or
yeah,
go back to it. Like, and the whole like you can share your town through dreams. That was actually really interesting. The Ica town was like
yeah,
really creepy, but people actually did things with their towns that were actually amazing.
right,
Like, it's a creative tool.
right.
And
And it's extremely important to know that Animal Crossing did start as a console game. It started as an N64 title. The US got the GameCube port, which had e-reader support, and then they went on to make an even better version on the DS. But the problem with City Folk is that it was literally a port of the DS version on Wii. And sure, it looked pretty, but it had nothing new to it except a city, which had very little to it anyways. So if you remove the entirety of City Folk, then the entire franchise would have been pretty okay because it's dominantly on portables at this point. And I think it's going to have to stay that way with the NX because they're just going to have to make sure that it's as portable capable as possible if the NX is actually going to be its form factor handheld console.
hybrid, whatever the fuck you
Yeah,
want to call it.
it's going to have to remain primarily a handheld thing because a lot of people enjoy the fact that you can play Animal Crossing on the go. I can't think of a single person who would want to keep uh, console Animal Crossing as it was because it completely like you want to keep Animal Crossing on the go as a time killer.
I mean, to be perfectly honest, like I prefer portables over consoles.
Yeah,
And if Animal Crossing were to go on console, I probably wouldn't play as much now because like just having it on the 3DS was like great.
yeah,
And the other
that's the
thing
thing as well is
was like the Street Pass feature. That was
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, the only thing I have going for me on console gaming is that I'd be able to play it with my family. But guess what? They're not very big gamers anymore. Uh, so it's not like I'm going to be able to play a whole lot of Animal Crossing with them anyways. So I'm going to just stick with portable Animal Crossing because that's a lot more capable to me. Just because I can take it with me if I need to go somewhere. I don't need to lug around a console to play Animal Crossing. It's just overall more easy to play Animal Crossing and that kind of stuff.
I noticed there's a much more of a mob mentality when it comes to video games, especially in the past like 5 years, that whole mob mentality has grown and that entitlement has also grown,
Hmm.
and no one's really addressing it. Like the marketing departments or marketing companies actually encourage it, which is fucking awful. And like we it's pointed out, but no one's actively making a big deal about it. I feel like,
Right.
because otherwise, like they face retaliation from said mob mentalities, and it's like, why did we get to this point thinking that was okay?
Yeah. The
Like,
main
why?
issue with the main issue with mob mentality like that is eventually the loudest voice is going to be that mob. But the problem is that it's definitely going to affect overall sales if it's like I'm okay with companies listening to the minority for something, but I feel like console demanders for the Animal Crossing franchise and games in general um, is far too outspoken and way too minimal of a statistic to deal with it. Like, I highly doubt Nintendo in this instance would want to make a new Animal Crossing right now on a Wii U when they're completely stopping like uh,
Production.
yeah, production and sale of it by the end of next year or something. When they know that a lot of people, like maybe a million or a couple million people, bought a 3DS just to play Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Actually,
Like,
that's why I bought my 3DS, so I could play Animal Crossing.
yeah, I bought it for Animal Crossing as well as Star Fox. So like I'm all the more happy to have my 3DS. But it's like it's just business at this point. They're going to do what they know is comfortably going to sell a lot, and handheld Animal Crossing has sold well for a long time. Like Animal Crossing Wild World far outsold City Folk, I believe.
I think there's like a point where it's like, yes, your customers are an important point to stick with,
Hmm.
but you have to also, like, you can't make a bad business decision just because your customers say they want a certain thing, and in reality the numbers are different.
Right, and this
Because
kind
like
of
I
thing.
think I think people forget that even Nintendo is still a company that makes money. They're still an entertainment company. They have to make money. They can't just be frivolous with their spending.
Yeah, and this kind of thing boils back to the criminal girls thing, which we started with. Is um, it it it's the same thing that happened with Bravely Default. I feel um, a lot of people, when they heard that there was going to be some censorship going on in Bravely Default, they immediately went on Square Enix's ass because they didn't want censorship in their games. But that once the game came out and they found out why they censored it, they shut the fuck up
I
because
mean, like,
it's really weird to have a character, a 14-year-old character in a really skimpy outfit in North America because that's not exactly
appropriate.
yeah, that's not exactly appropriate for here. So yeah, it's like you guys have to understand that the age of consent is like 4 years difference between Japan and North America. So there are going to be a lot of things that can't make it here because it'll get banned.
I
It'll go
mean, like,
AO.
the thing is like, Square Enix and Nintendo are like, they can take a hit. NAS America is a small company, and they're just a
Yes,
branch of Nippon Ichi Software, which is in Japan.
right.
They cannot take the hit. They are small enough where it will affect their company. They've already gone into like really red previously, and that was, if anyone's a longtime NAS America fan, that was a bad time. And we've come to a better place in that company, but the problem is that now they can't. They know they've gone there. They don't want to go back. And if that means
Yeah,
they have to send something to bring a game over, that's just what they're gonna do.
yeah,
Just stop being an entitled piece of shit. Like,
yeah. I don't care if you want to see. I don't care if you want to see your character with 80% cleavage. It's like fuck you. Just bring the game back and have them in a normal bikini outfit. Fuck it. That's gonna be fine. I don't think anybody's gonna get sued over it. Like
no.
the difference, I think people need to realize that censorship is the difference between making a game M-rated and making a game adults only. Like the range is a game that you can play at age 18 versus a game that you have to actually show identification for and
You
that
have
you
to
can't
show.
stream and
You
that
have to
is probably going to be only available in adult shops.
like you could still have an ID for M rated,
Yeah,
but like it's not like if it's adult only is considered a very different game than say M, which may
yeah.
seem like why, and it's like because
Adults
it can
only is the
include
difference.
porn
Adults only
and
is the difference between being able to have a game in stores and being able to only distribute it like manually. That's what happened with a lot of AO games is that they get pulled from shelves after they get released because of their re-rating, and then they have to like reduce content to make it M-rated again to be put on
or
store
what happens
shelves.
is someone buys it, like a parent
Yes,
buys it, then they realize what their kid is actually playing before like, and then they make a big deal about it,
yeah,
and then that's why this shit gets pulled, you know.
yeah,
And it's also it's bad press for the company, and you could say yes, any press is good press, but like they don't really want to be associated with that press because that essentially is telling like the public that they hit distribute porn essentially. Like
yeah. That's not a
you
good thing.
never want that. Like why would you wish that upon a company? I don't know. You're an asshole.
Yeah, that's the biggest. I'm gonna go back 10 years just to prove a point here. It was a huge deal when Grand Theft Auto San Andreas got rated to AO. Like it was a big fucking deal.
Yep.
Um, because there wasn't anything in the game that you could access normally that would be considered pornographic. But people hacked in and found a porn minigame, and that alone was enough to put the game in AO rating.
Oh, I think there was some other thing that my media professor found out, which is like you could kill someone with a dildo in one of the Grand Theft Auto games.
Yeah, that
Which I
was
don't even understand how that works, but okay.
yeah. That's I don't know why that would be an AO thing because that's like that's not doing anything sexual with it, which is why you usually get an AO rating on it. And
But
also,
it's a dildo.
yeah, but
We
at the
don't
same
talk about
time,
sex toys in America.
really, because Saints Row the Third doesn't give a shit. They give you a dildo sword to beat the shit out of civilians.
Well, I mean, like that, but the thing is like,
Things are more lenient now with video games.
now, but like at the time,
Yeah,
if parents found out, like they bought that shit, they were furious.
yeah. It's another thing as well that needs to be brought up is games are still given an AO rating. Like it's not just a thing that happened 10 years ago. The most recent example of this is Hatred, which was a very gritty top-down twin-stick shooter where you went on a fucking massacre of innocent civilians and police officers, and it was very grungy, very heavy, and it got an
Wasn't that
AO rating.
wasn't that banned in Australia?
Yes, actually, if you want to be specific, um, that kind of controversy is still stuck around because I remember when I heard news that some some feminists got outraged that you could kill women in GTA 5, so they got it pulled from store shelves in Target.
I I don't understand that.
Yeah, I know
I'm
because
a
like
feminist. Like I would be
yeah, I'm
technically I would be a feminist, but like if feminism is about being equal, and in a video game, yes, you can kill everyone.
yeah. That's why it was so fucking stupid to me because I'm also a feminist, and my ex at the time who told me about it was also a feminist, and she was just like, "This is really fucking stupid." Like, that is the complete opposite of equalism. Or that's the exact opposite of equality. If it's like you can kill everybody except the women,
I
they
think
need
the
to be
problem is that like feminism has been very much twisted, and I think we
yeah.
need a different name, or we need to call people who would not be considered feminists just sexist, because being
No,
sexist isn't actually normal.
that's
And
exactly what it is, and that's the thing as well is that this kind of stuff, like this kind of feminine extremism, was portrayed 10 or 15 years ago. And it's still just as impactful now as it is then.
yeah,
Like I'm really glad for women's rights. I'm really glad that women have the rights that they do. But
at the moment.
yeah, yeah. But like, I'm gonna get put in a lot of shit if I say the wrong thing here.
Well,
Like,
because there's light women feminism, and then there is like, which doesn't encompass people of colors, transgenders experiences as being a woman, which is part of
it's
the
a different
problem.
thing to it's a different thing to have people ask for both genders to be treated as equally as before, and it's another thing to be like, women need to be spotlighted and put on a pedestal. They need to be treated essentially as goddesses all the time. Like
But
there needs
that's
to
more of
be
a cultural thing that we
yeah
did because the way we've had the gender binary. But I mean, like, we should all be able to get a job. We should all have equal opportunity. We shouldn't be like disadvantaged or have a huge advantage because of our gender when it comes to getting promoted in the workplace. We should have equal pay. Women should have the right to, have an abortion. It's a choice. You don't have to agree with it, but you should let people have the choice because of reasons that may or may not be their
yeah.
choice in the first place.
This is really awkward. We're talking about PlayStation games, right?
I want to get on a VR discussion, but like
Yes, let's.
we this week in
I am
my
so
gender
sorry for
studies
the derailing.
class. It's okay. Like in gender studies, we're actually talking about the abortion debate, and it's.
I'm pro-choice. Like,
I'm just sick of like, why do I have to argue that I have the right to abortion? Like, it is my choice.
why
Let's
do I
get
have to
on with
argue what happens to my body, right?
exactly. But like the thing is with the language though, is that my body doesn't like. It can be used against for the argument,
Right.
but like just seeing what the pro-life's arguments are is just like, are you just really uneducated? And there are college-educated people who were like, that's wrong, and I was like, how can you be pro-life if you're college-educated? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah,
So
it's basically like saying, do we stop putting a person on life support? Like, you currently have to sign waivers to be like, I want to be put on life support, but why should I, as a non-responsive vegetable, I'm using myself as an example here, why should I have to let other people decide whether I live or die? That's a much more extreme version of this abortion thing. Is why should I, as the person who's carrying a child that I either can't care for or didn't want to begin with for very specific reasons, why should I have to carry this through all three terms and then have to deal with it?
Well, because the argument is if you're pro-life is that it was your choice.
Oh my god!
But then
why are we having the abortion argument in a PlayStation podcast? This is terrible.
You're the one who brought it up, you shithead.
Fuck.
That was your fault. I was gonna talk about VR.
Shit.
But no, like the pro-life side is treating like children like they're like a punishment. Children aren't punishments. Yeah. It's really fucked up. Like
this entire discussion is really. This is gonna be like, we're gonna have some awful arguments going on if we have a YouTube comment stream going here.
Welp.
Fuck.
Let's move on to VR then.
So welcome to Blaze Take Politics.
So, VR releases this week, and we've already started getting reviews about VR. PlayStation VR has actually been kind of a mixed boat, actually. So some people really love it, some of the games are great, but people have been saying it's actually really just a bunch of tech demos. They think it is more comfortable than the other sets, like Vive and Oculus. It's not as big of a problem for entry. Like, it's still pretty pricey, but if you already have a PS4, it's not that big of a deal, unlike the others. And you don't have to move as much like you do with the Vive, which is a big proponent for some people because the Inquisition made a mention of this, and I actually hadn't thought about that. Is that like if you're physically disabled, the Vive really isn't that great because you have to move around, twist. But you don't decide to do that with the PlayStation VR. But the one problem is that he was getting motion sick, and that I think that's a big problem. because like that can vary from person to person. So people like it, and then some people are saying it's very like it's like the problem is that the motion controls are 6 years old, so it's like it's being held back by old technology. And it's also kind of a ripoff if Sony's like, here's two 6-year-old controllers for $100. Like, I can see where people would be mad about that because they should be. It's really, if it's not really new technology, why should I have to pay that much money?
Right.
I just hope that it doesn't become like the Vita and they just drop it. Like, I feel like Sony really needs to push for that first party support in order to encourage third party developers that it is something worth putting into, and then we'll get a plethora of games that we actually want.
I think the best way for them to start is to go back to a few of their games that they've released already and add VR support into them, because there are plenty of games that would benefit greatly from having a semblance of VR support, because then it would give people the option to try it out on some of the games that they like. Like, I can imagine that VR could work pretty well for the Ratchet and Clank reboot, maybe the Uncharted series, Tomb Raider could work, as well as maybe Killzone Shadowfall, or even Call of Duty could work for a VR sense. As well as if they can push support for Bethesda games, because Bethesda's already adding support for VR in Doom and Fallout 4. So,
I mean, some people would argue with that, though. That's like another port, and they don't want to buy the game again.
well, I'm not saying that it would be like a port, but like an update, because they just added HDR into all PS4s through a firmware update. It could be possible to add
like
VR support into a game through an update.
I mean, like, some people would still really actually want new games, and they actually really need to get as well. I think that's why they're trying to push Resident Evil 7
Right.
for VR. But the thing is they have like a month until Black Friday essentially to sell these units.
Mhm.
While the pre-orders have been selling out, depending on how the launch goes, it could be good or bad.
Right.
And like the Hatsune Miku game we were talking about last week, it's actually one stage is like $14.99. So you're not even getting a full game necessarily of multiple songs. You're getting like one song, but it's called a stage, and it's weird.
Right. So the one thing that needs to be brought up is, if they do prior games and update them with VR support, then that's just a gateway, because then they can gauge interest on those games, and if people would want to play them on VR. Like, that's a really good way to introduce VR into games without risking a high cost development of a AAA game that just doesn't sell.
I mean, like, I'm still gonna wait for Dreams and Psychonauts Rhombus and Ruin, which apparently is going to be an in-between from Psychonauts 1 and 2. So that's going to be interesting. And then hopefully Psychonauts 2 comes out 2018, 2019. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. They already have some development videos going on, some gameplay videos.
Yeah, I got the emails because I backed the game, but just enough to like actually get a copy of the game. I need more than that, like some other people.
I want to back a game that I found recently called Butt Sniffing Pugs.
What?
It's a game where you and a friend possibly can play like this Animal Crossing style life sim game with a bunch of pixel art, and you play as a couple pugs.
Oh, that thing.
Hmm?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it looks really cute.
What if they made it in VR?
That would probably be. I think that would probably be the most pointless VR game, because it's mostly pixel art. Like, I don't think that they could do a VR version with like voxel rendering, because that would be kind of awkward.
But like, what if they made a pug simulator or something like Nintendogs?
I can't wait for Goat Simulator VR.
But like, if we did like a cat or a dog one, don't you think like people would just go crazy over that, because like a lot of
Yeah,
apartments don't allow pets
yeah.
unless you want to pay
That's
extra money
why.
for a more expensive apartment. So like, I feel like Pet Simulator would be like a hit
That's
with
why. That's why
people.
Nintendo sold extremely well when it first came out on the DS, is because it was just, you can't have a lot of Japan housing couldn't allow pets, so that was like,
Well, there's not enough room for pets is the
yeah,
problem.
yeah. So like Nintendogs was the alternative, and it was a pretty good alternative. I think it could work for PlayStation VR,
They
but
should totally have made that a launch title.
yeah, it would be kind of weird if they did iPad VR though. This weird human-looking monkey. Ooh.
I mean, like if it was just cats and dogs, it would have been fine
Yeah,
with me. I
yeah,
miss my kitty, but I can't have a kitty.
yeah. Oh boy, I'm still reeling.
So
I'm still reeling back from the amount of cringe that we had during the past 15 minutes. That was really. Uh, I'm gonna feel really bad if that's like that causes some shit on YouTube.
well, I'll just say it's your fault because it is.
Yeah, I'm. Guys, this is gonna be my last episode on the PlayStation Point. I hope you guys.
um, no, it's not as bad as Armando where you brought on drunk Cal.
That, yeah. I mean, Kel doesn't even like being on podcasts anymore, so
Does Cal really do anything?
I don't know. I think he helps pay for the site. We should probably cut this out.
Yeah, I'll do that in post.
Okay.
So you said you were probably gonna jump for VR yesterday.
I'm probably going to, but I think priorities first. I need to get my computer upgraded.
You do.
Yeah.
We'll just have
I,
Armando just send his VR set to
yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. We'll do like a relay, because I'm probably going to do the Resident Evil 7 demo in VR.
I don't know what I would do, but I will find something to play.
Yeah. I'll definitely do fucking Until Dawn, though.
Wasn't it like we were talking about how like if you had the PlayStation VR headset you can't have HDR, which we're like that was stupid.
Yeah. I mostly said it was stupid because, and I understand that HDR is an important thing to have in gaming currently because it's a thing that allows for higher graphical fidelity. But what's the fucking point of having a console built specifically for HDR and VR if the VR can't do HDR? It's basically like creating three sub branches of a console. Like, you can make basic games, or you can make games with HDR, or you can make games with VR. That's kind of stupid.
Sony
Oh well.
makes bad decisions.
Like dropping the PlayStation Vita when it was on the verge of a bubble, basically.
It could have been great, but like the problem was it was software. It was like
Yeah.
you could have developed well for this, but you
It
decided
was
not to.
it was RPGs and indie games for like the first 3 years.
I think it still is technically.
Well, yeah, because nobody develops for the Vita anymore.
Like, because no one's gonna buy it, so they just develop for the 3DS
Yeah,
instead.
so it's still RPGs and fucking indie games.
I mean, Spike Chunsoft is still developing for PS Vita, but I think it's because Danganronpa has been like it started on the PSP in Japan, and then America got it on the Vita.
Mhm.
But now you can get Danganronpa Reload 1 and 2, or 1 and 2 Reload, which is the first two games on PS4, which is what originally happened when they announced it was coming over, was that they were taking Reload and making two separate games. And if you haven't had the chance to buy them, you can still you can buy the PS4 version and you get all the pre-order goodies like you got from the first two games.
Mhm.
So they at least they don't fuck you over for pre-order goods. And Ask America is really good to their fans.
Yep.
For Despair Girls, the spin-off game, you will still need a PS Vita TV or a PS Vita to play it unless they port it anytime soon. So it's like a third-person shooter.
Right.
Camera's kind of not the greatest, but it was a good game. Other than that, there's just not a lot of companies who are developing for PS Vita. They're gonna try to develop for Xbox One, PC, or PS4. To be honest.
Well, based on the disaster piece that was the Resident Evil Revelations 2 port to PS Vita, I can understand why. Like, it's one of those consoles that they consider, like, it seems like the PlayStation Vita at this point is an afterthought for a lot of AAA developers,
And
and third
do you
parties.
think that will happen with PSVR or any VR at this point?
Um, it depends on how well Sony advertises it. Like, currently all they have is a pitch, and they have games to show what it's capable of. Like, they have a lot of tech going on with it. The problem coming with it is if third party and AAA developers are going to look at this peripheral and be like, yes, we are going to make a game specifically for this, instead of developing a game and having VR support with it as an optional thing. That's going to depend solely on how well Sony pushes it forward.
I mean, as long as Sony develops more for it, I think I will buy it, but I will buy it like in 2018 when I'm in much. I feel like I'll be in a better financial situation.
Right. The other thing to keep note is that Sony doesn't exactly do a whole lot of first party with it, with their own console. They mostly have publishing on third party and AAA titles. Because as far as I know, Sony doesn't have a whole lot of first party in them. They have second party, more or less. They have like Naughty Dog and Insomniac Games. Those are essentially second party, where they develop a lot of games solely for PlayStation consoles.
And like, you notice they like if they're not in there where they originally the studio is, they're in Santa Monica now because Sony Santa Monica is where all the developers are. Actually, there's an area like specifically where there's a lot of video game developers. You just don't see it.
Probably because they're in-house working.
The last place I worked, or no, I didn't work. I lived at. The person who we did the lease agreement with, her husband worked at Naughty Dog. So I never fucking saw him, probably because he was never home. I'm pretty sure she didn't have a car, but he had a car. So I saw the Naughty Dog license plate frame. But again, I didn't really see that car that much. Because, like, or if I did, it was like when I was home. But I had afternoon classes, and then I wouldn't see it in the night or the afternoon. But yeah, they lived technically they lived next to Santa Monica, so he wasn't too far away. But those times.
I remember the time when I asked my my uncle's dentist's next door neighbor when the NX was coming out, because he works at Nintendo.
I don't think a lot of the employees actually, like when they work at these companies, know necessarily when it's releasing.
Yeah.
I think like everyone has their own department, and they're more worried about their own deadlines.
Yeah, that's very true.
And then occasionally they'll figure out, or they'll know when something else is coming out.
Yeah.
But they're also under a non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal if you fucking break that in the entertainment industry, whether it's like animation, video games, TV, movies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a way like if you break non-disclosure agreements, you sort of get blacklisted because you pissed everyone off.
Yeah.
It's like breaking the unbreakable rule.
Yeah. It's one of those things where we really only we have to see what happens in the first year, how VR is going to be handled.
Yeah. I want it to do well. I don't want it to become another like PS Vita.
I want it to at least do okay enough for them to continue support of it. That's going to be the goal. I don't want it to be like a required peripheral on the PS4. I want it to be just something that developers search after for options on if they want to do VR support in their games.
Like, I definitely want it to be good enough where like we still continue with VR. I also feel like it's going to be a better entry point for people who want to get in VR.
Yeah. I've seen what VR is capable of.
So have I, and I think it's an amazing piece of technology. I don't know if it's like the thing you need right now, but it's certainly a new way to explore entertainment or possibly application use.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to do more development of VR and even AR as well.
Right. That's so yeah. I don't want VR to fail on the Sony side of things, because that could throw a wrench. Because that could be pretty rough on the other VR headsets.
Like we want it to succeed. We don't want, but like at the right now we can't really afford it because of
Yeah.
our circumstances.
I think I think the takeaway from this is that we don't want it to fail, but we definitely don't want it to succeed substantially either. We want it to find like a nice medium as a peripheral.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I think that wraps it up for this week.
Sales. Sales.
Oh yes, so NIS America is having a sale. Most of the games you can get about 50% off. You know, it's like the Disgaea games, any other games.
It's every single Disgaea game, even it's got all the Disgaea games, even the pretty side-scrolling hack and slash.
Oh
spin-off.
god, that makes my hands fucking hurt.
Yeah, there's also What Did I Do to Deserve Is My Lord 2, I think, in there, as well as a couple of other...
Clay Daloon, the Paradox one. The first one's good, the second one is terrible, apparently.
Yeah. Natural Doctrine.
Well, you will not find Neptunia because Neptunia went back to its original company because then they made their own American branch.
Yeah. There is Natural Doctrine as well. As well as all the Danganronpa games as well for $20 each.
So that's a steal.
Yeah. On the Warner Brothers side of things, for some reason they don't have a whole lot except for a bunch of Lego games, which is nice because Lego games are awesome. But they have the season pass for Dying Light listed, but not Dying Light.
Dying Light was like, I love the game mechanics because they look so much fun, but the plot is terrible.
Well, yeah, so was Dead Island. Like, Dead Island had a lot of potential, but it was just so terrible to play.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get
Dying Light is just a better Dead Island.
Well, as an avid Disgaea fan, I highly encourage people to play it. It's a great RPG series.
Mm-hmm.
You can play 1 and 2, and they're good. Granted, if you start with 4 or 5, you're going to realize that the game mechanics in 1 and 2 are really hard to get into because they're not as good as 4 and 5s.
Mm-hmm.
Each Disgaea game is by itself its own story. Disgaea D2 is a sequel to the first game, and actually that's where we start to see like Disgaea have like an actual UI that isn't very cluttered as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we get diagonal throwing instead of being like one straight line. So I would say if you're gonna, play Disgaea, if you want to start with the early games, do 1 and 2. I think 3 is absolute garbage, so you can just skip that one. It's fine. No one liked that one. It was in when it was like NIS. NIS is like darkest years. But if you'd rather do the newer games, you can start off with 4. 4 is like pretty good. It's what got NIS back on
the
back
Vita
on the
version.
map. Yeah, the Vita version, but you can play it on
Promise
PS...
Revisited.
Yeah, because it has all the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 is on the PS4. No, it will not be ported to the PS Vita. Like, I tried doing the remote play with it on my Vita, and it doesn't handle very well at times, so just give it a PS4, play it. It's pretty good. I'm not done with it yet because time.
I just installed Disgaea 4.
Woo. Other than that, like, Danganronpa games, please play them. You'll love them. I'm really happy for Danganronpa.
You ready for V3?
Oh my god, and then I watched the Danganronpa anime. Holy shit. God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, yeah, like, those are our sales. If you haven't already gotten the PS Plus free games, do that. Update your PS4. If you haven't done that for whatever reason, it's going to take a while, so I say do it.
I'm watching the opening sequence of Disgaea 4, and I have no idea what the fuck is going on. Who's that? Who are these? What's that?
Oh my god, the animation opening. Because the first thing we saw when we heard it was announced, and oh my god, people flipped their shit. It's a really good opening song, actually. You get a trophy for watching it the first time.
Well, I'm watching it. I can't look away. What is this? Who's
By
that?
the game.
What the fuck? Okay. But
You fucking laughed.
what is happening?
Oh,
Who are these people?
this is great.
At least I know what a prinny is. Okay.
So let's head on to our last section before we head off. So I don't have anything to plug. Do you have anything to plug?
Viewer enjoyment is advised. Yay, I got a trophy.
Yes.
Anything to plug? Yeah.
Spookstober again?
Yeah, Spooktober. I've had a little bit of a break just to cool down from it, but I think I'll be back today to play more Resident Evil Zero. What else? I think I'm gonna have my next review done by next week, but I'm also working on a little show that you guys might see at the end of the year based on how well it goes. It's something that I think is going to be a very important pet project. That's not going to be a review or anything. It's going to be a way to reflect. So expect that probably by the end of the year, or at the very least in January. But yeah, hang out at my Twitch page or at Blaze Kick Live, our official Twitch page, where it'll be hosting us streaming, and I'll be playing Resident Evil Zero probably. And I don't need to watch this intro again. Fuck it. Okay. Yeah, Spooktober, and go follow our Twitch page for when we stream. It'll automatically host us. So just keep an eye out for when we tweet it out. And yeah, come hang out and watch us play games.
Okay. So you guys know we have a Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So for $1 a month, you get the podcast a day early, and for $5 a month, you get our other video content. And I say original video content a day early as well. Basically, it helps us create more content on a more daily basis. So we really appreciate when you guys do support us, and thank you to our current patrons. We really do actually appreciate it because it helps us get more content going and also higher quality content. And with that, it's a two-way road, guys. So just $1 just for the podcast, and you get the Blaze Kick podcast, which is an exclusive for our patrons on Patreon. It's where we talk about stuff that we don't normally talk about on the PlayStation 4, Project Scorpio, or Nintendo Unleashed. Last night I was talking about cheese making. Armando was talking about time management, and then Tyler brought up the subject of what are our guilty pleasure games. So we talk about stuff like that. We've talked about anime. Armando brought up Trump one time. Hopefully he never does that again, because politics. But yeah, that's.
I mean, we did get political here as well, so I don't think we have.
Not like with Trump.
I went political. Sorry.
That was on you. So that's.
Come back next week on the PlayStation Point where Tyler won't be here because he got fucking killed by a bunch of SJWs on Twitter.
And we also like you guys to visit our website because that helps us get into events like E3. So that our Patreon is patreon.com/blazekick, and our website is blazekick.com.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a YouTube channel where most of our focus is now there, and that is youtube.com/user/blazekickmedia. And we also have a Twitter page, and that's at blazekickmedia. Or no, at blazekick tweet, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had enough coffee this morning, apparently.
Really should have notes.
I didn't put that down in my notes either.
Yeah.
Like I would do the list the night before because it's
Hmm.
easier. So my own Twitter handle is at deepin_sorceress. And what is yours, Tyler?
At replays high heretic.
So if you want, leave a comment on the YouTube page, tweet us. We actually want to know your guys' opinions. Do you want us to do something different? Do you want us to talk about a certain subject a certain week? We're
We
actually
have
willing to do
questions.
that.
Leave questions if you want us to talk about anything that day or that week, as well as asking us questions about games that you may be interested in. We might know something about games on the PS4 library. Um, Also, ask us
We
if
can make us we
Armando's ever
can.
going to be back on PlayStation Point. The answer is probably
He
going to be
might be
no.
next week. He might be.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but the thing is that like we're willing to do like a user dedicated section at the end if you guys want. So I mean, like, we can take your questions, we can talk about them, we can answer them, or we can guess if we really are not sure about the topic.
Hmm.
So yeah, just leave us a comment, tweet us, do that,
Right.
and subscribe to us. We also appreciate that.
Hmm.
And that is it for this week. We will hopefully have Armando on next week to talk about VR more specifically because he'll have actually used it. And anything else that comes up next week, I think will be just sort of deflating a bit. But
Hmm.
that's fine.
Yep.
We might have. I would hopefully we have like a week where we can just relax because I am tired as fuck.
Yeah.
So thank you
Oh
for
yeah.
watching.
I found out that apparently the Jackbox Party Pack 3 is coming out next week.
Oh, we need to do a
So,
stream.
oh yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, there's that too, guys. But yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see